We begin in Iran, where protesters across the country are demonstrating in defiance of the leadership, with some symbolically renaming streets Trump Street to draw international attention. Posters of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei are being torn down and set on fire, and crowds fill the streets despite a deadly crackdown. In the latest, a 23-year-old Iranian student was killed during the anti-government protests in Tehran. Hospitals across Iran are struggling to cope as protest-related casualties continue to rise. Reports claim that bodies were stacked on top of one another inside the morgue. More than 500 people have been killed and around 20,000 people have been detained by Iranian authorities. And the crisis has drawn a sharp international attention. Iran's parliament speaker warned the United States and Israel against any military action, saying that if Iran is attacked, US bases, ships and Israeli targets would be considered legitimate targets for retaliation. The warning came after US President Donald Trump said he was ready to help Iranians and the United States was considering strong options.
There seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it. And we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
Iran has been under a near-total internet blackout for 4 days as protests continue to spread across the country. The internet blackout has now lasted more than 80 hours, severely limiting the flow of information out of Iran and making independent verification difficult. President Trump said he may speak with Elon Musk about getting the internet back online.
Well, we're going to be talking about that. We may get the internet going, if that's possible. We may speak to Elon, because as you know, he's very good at that kind of thing. He's got a very good company. So we may speak to Elon Musk. And in fact, I'm going to call him as soon as I'm finished with you.
Meanwhile, Iranian authorities say nationwide protests are now under control after more than 2 weeks of unrest. Iran's foreign minister said that the demonstrations have come under total control. He also said that internet services would be restored, however, only in coordination with security authorities. No time frame was given. He added that Iran is ready for war, but also dialogue, accusing Trump of using the unrest as a pretext for intervention. Inside Iran, the president positioned foreign powers as the instigators while continuing to defend the government's response to violent incidents on the streets.
Protest is the right of the people, and we are obliged to respond to their protests. But unrest and attacks on public places, setting fire to mosques, burning the Book of God, this is clearly a plan by the United States and Israel. The people can see it. This is Israel speaking of humanity, while at the same time inflicting such suffering on human beings.
Reza Pahlavi, the exiled son of Iran's last Shah, also addressed protesters in Iran. In a social media post, Pahlavi said President Trump had carefully observed the protesters' bravery. Pahlavi said Iranians living abroad were proudly shouting the protesters' demands and pledged that he would soon be by your side. Meanwhile, hundreds of protesters marched through Paris on Sunday in a show of solidarity with protesters in Iran. In London, too, a small protest was also held outside the Iranian embassy. And several hundred demonstrations gathered Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles to express solidarity with the Iranian people. Iran is at crossroads. Despite the crackdown, despite the internet blackout, and despite threats from the state, Iranians remain in the streets. Their voices echo in Paris, London, Los Angeles and beyond. The next hours and days could determine whether the country moves towards escalation reform or further crackdown.
The world doesn't fit in boxes, so why should your news? From battlefields to negotiation tables, from internet outrage to real-world injustice. The conversations everyone is having and the ones they're avoiding. It's the same show, but this new year, Firstpost America gets a new look. I'm Kerry Johnston, and this is Firstpost America.